Hi, my name is Jenna Messman. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Sexual Health Program Coordinator at the University of Maryland Health Center's Health Promotion and Wellness Services Unit. Wow, what a mouthful. I am really excited to be here with you today via recording to share with you an effort we've been working on this summer that we're really excited to share with some of our incredible campus partners like yourself. We have a wellness tips and toolkit document that we are distributing across campus to empower student leaders, instructors, other folks who are holding spaces with students or community to consider and to utilize to help create a culture of wellness in those spaces. You'll notice on the wellness tips document, these are small, better practice or best practice recommendations that we have for you to consider in your practice and your process to enhance the wellness of that space and to create as many opportunities for students to actualize well-being. You'll notice that some of those things are things you're probably already doing, and some of them might provide you with new ideas for things that you can try to incorporate into your spaces. The Wellness Toolkit is a space for folks who are looking to take it to the next level, looking to view some lesson plans, view some activities, check out potential podcasts with debrief questions that they could use in their spaces to engage students or to engage community around topics of wellness. So I will bring you to the website now and peruse this with you so you have a chance to see how you could utilize this. Here we are at health.umd.edu/wellness tips and toolkit. Okay. You can also navigate finding this from our main page, but we created this /wellness tips and toolkit. So hopefully it was easier to remember for folks. Again, as I said, see below for a list of basic recommendations that can support wellness of students. These recommendations are not program specific. It's not bringing in a particular speaker or doing any big event. These are rather practices that you can incorporate into your already existing processes for connecting and community. It is not an exhaustive list, but rather provides some guidance regarding small tweaks you can make that hopefully have a big impact on the climate of that classroom or that group or that hall or the space. You'll also see that we have 3 particular audiences that we've crafted some tips for. You might not fall specifically in any one of these categories, but feel like you're more connected to one than the other. They are all very similar, but have some minor tweaks for specificity of the audiences. But for the sake of this conversation, I'll click on UNIV 100 instructors. Here, one example is to share and ask for pronouns. And when you click on this, it provides you more information around this best or better practice. Here, check in with students regularly. This might be something that you are already doing with students that you work with. But maybe this provides you some more guidance or resources for establishing a plan for follow-up and referral as needed. Maybe you hear a student that's always giving a thumbs down for how they're feeling that day, or always saying, it's just not my week, or it's just not my day. What is your plan for follow-up with that student? What are some of the campus resources for you as an instructor or student leader? And what are some resources that you can share with a student? And we have some listed here. Again, you can click through all of these at your leisure. I'm just showing you how you might utilize this website. Promoting healthy nutrition habits. Our registered dietitian on campus provided some great language here that you can utilize in your leadership role here on campus. So now I'll click out of the wellness tips to consider in your role. They function similarly, but exactly the same, I should say, for DFSL student leaders and for RAs. You click on this and provide safer sex materials in your spaces, RAs. You're like, well, how do I do that? You email me to request free bulk packs from the health center. So you'll see that each of these provides more information as you click on them. Now, if we scroll down to the wellness toolkit, this is what's really fun. We have a beautiful document here that provide different activities and lesson plans or discussions that you can use to engage in conversation or activity about wellness in your spaces. These are pretty dynamic. No two are exactly the same, although we have a few that are pre-recorded lectures or lessons that you might assign. For example, Alcohol 101, if you click on this here, it will bring you to the lesson plan, and you will see that this is a crash course about alcohol use and harm reduction strategies. There is a total runtime of about 75 minutes of video here, several different videos that they will watch, and a handout that students can complete while they watch this video. Here they can type in some of their reflections. It's great. So whether you're looking to hold a small group dialogue or whether you are looking to assign this as homework, these are things that students could turn in or could use as their own prompts or remembrance for what they thought as they were watching some of those videos. Here, if we go back to the Wellness Toolkit, other activities like, let me go to focusing on one of our podcast clips. Here we have the Pleasure Gap podcast. The University of Maryland Health Center actually has a For Students by Students podcast. One of those episodes happens to be about the pleasure gap. So here, students could check out the episode from our Any Questions podcast landing page. They could check out the specific episode about the pleasure gap. We have our presenter information here. There are learning objectives. And then we have different activities, two different ones, a post-video discussion. You might think of your own discussion questions, great, but we've provided some easier ones for you to use. And then there's also a follow-up activity. If you have access to Netflix, there's a great episode that pairs very well with this podcast episode that students could watch if they're looking to take a deeper dive. I think a great way to do this, for example, for RAs might be to have the podcast, ask people to listen to the podcast that week, maybe go out to eat together on Friday and discuss the podcast. If there are some people from the group who are really into the conversation saying, hey, next week, let's all watch this Netflix episode together and then further discuss this. Or you could adapt this for a classroom setting where you could listen to I think it's about 13-minute podcast right there in class and have a discussion right there and encourage students to watch the Netflix episode on their own time or watch it in another class. So anyways, there are lots of different ways that you could utilize these lesson plans. I gave you an example of some pre-recorded videos that you can watch in the space or assign for students to watch, a podcast that they could listen to. Another example is a blog post written by a student about late night snacking. Can click on this lesson plan. You will see that there is an article, again, written by one of our peer nutrition coaches about late night snacking as a college student. And then we have a handout that students can complete afterwards, listing 2 of the benefits of a late night snack, right? So this is how you would utilize this toolkit. Going through, finding different topics that might be of interest to you, maybe clicking through and seeing, what's the format of this? Is this a pre-recorded YouTube series with a handout? Or is this promoting a podcast that we could listen to together? Or is it something maybe like the sexual health true-false activity, which is really an activity-based, might include some movement depending on how you facilitate it. There are lots of different types of programs in here. The Health Promotion and Wellness Services unit will be adding to this toolkit throughout the fall semester. We would really appreciate your feedback, and I'll have a place for you to give us feedback in the video description here, where you can click on a form, tell us how you might use this toolkit, what you think of some of the tips. Are there ways that this could be more helpful for you in your role as someone on campus who's holding some kind of space in which you're trying to enhance the wellness of that space and really cultivate a culture of wellness in that space for the students or whomever you are holding community with? Thank you so much for taking the time to check this out. We are so excited to release this for the fall 21 semester. Look forward to your feedback, and we look forward to updating this based on your feedback throughout the semester and throughout the year. Bye.